Hi guys, it's me, your favorite Koopa on the internet. Hi, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do an intro. Okay, today's video is gonna be very different from, well, not very different. It's just gonna be something different that I wanted to talk about. So like one day I went on Reddit. I don't have a So one day I went on Reddit. I don't have a Reddit account. I just go on there to look and see what's going on. Anyways, and I came across a post and I was like, this looks interesting. And now you're probably wondering, what in the world was this post? Well, it had all of the routes in Crown City for like the Mushroom Cup, the Shell Cup, or like just playing in the verses or time trials. And I was like thinking, wow, you can't really race on all these routes at all times, you know what I mean? So you either do the, okay, I'm gonna fall again. So you either do one or the other depending on what you're doing. So you know, you do like the Shell Cup version, you do the Mushroom Cup version, you do the version coming from certain courses where you drive along the water. But I thought you can't play all those at once. So I was like, what if instead of just like playing them individually, we fix it, and Peach Stadium too, because it has two different routes. We fix these courses so they can play on every single route in versus mode or time trials. So then you're not like having to, you know, pick if you want a certain route of Crown City or Peach Stadium, then it's like, okay, which one do I want? You know what I mean? So I'm gonna put these two courses, both Peach Stadium and Crown City. And I need the camera to face me. Yes, there we go. Okay, Yoshi, you out of my way. So yeah, we're gonna put these courses into what they would look like if they used every route possible that the game uses. Hi. Don't do that. Hi, welcome to Peach Stadium. We're starting with this course first because it's the, to me it's the least intricate of the two courses that I'm gonna be talking about today. But yeah, so normally in the sorry, I got really interrupted by whatever I was doing. So normally in the Shell Cup, when you do Peach Stadium, you typically just kind of drive around this kind of loop-de-loop thing, or in the Shell Cup, or when depending on where you're coming from. So typically, the race would start here. You'd go like this, and then you kind of go around. I'm sure you've all seen it or maybe played it too. And I thought that's a little boring, and you know, I'm sure you thought that too. That's like you're literally just doing a big fat oval. So yeah, you're just doing a big fat circle, and it's just like wee, and it's like, oh, the race is finally over. Okay, well that's nice. Now, what if you wanted to race on this part for whatever reason, because you're a crazy person, and you're just like, I want to race on this oval, but I also want to race on the normal course of Peach Stadium. Well, I had a thought of, here's what we can do. So you would start your race kind of here thing, you know what I mean? And then, you know, your race starts. And then we can do this two ways. One, we can do 2 laps around this oval, and then do the final course of the actual course of Peach Stadium. So at some point you'll end up driving back up here, and then you'll turn to the whatever left or whatever, and then just do the regular Peach Stadium. Or you can do this oval once and Peach Stadium twice, but I feel like if you're doing this, I feel like the oval would be better twice because it's just like not as epic as for like a final, like the Peach Stadium course in the Special Cup feels more of a special unique course in comparison to the Shell Cup version, which is literally just a freaking oval, like I said. Instead of just going around in a circle. Pardon while I crash into everything. Okay, while you go into a big circle. So then, I was thinking that, but then I was thinking, well, there's literally just like cars kind of going around. That's like kind of boring, you know? You just kind of avoid the cars. Like, that's easy stuff. Now, I thought, instead, there could be things like, you know, spikes right here. Piranha plants or like boomerang bros, other enemy obstacles that you typically would see when doing like route races from like one course to another. So you do like, there's like boomerang bros, like say off to the side here, throwing boomerangs like this way. You have to avoid them. Piranha plants throwing fire like that, spikes throwing spike balls, and yeah. So that could be like the case for the. So that could be the case for the versus race, like I said. Now, I'm thinking for the Time Trials edition, it would be not as many obstacles considering it's just Time Trials and you're the only person racing, so you know, you're just kind of racing against the clock and not actually against other players. I mean, I guess you could say you're racing against other players, but you're kind of the only one on the track, so it just makes sense that you're like the only one racing. All parts of the course are actually being used that are typically used in the Grand Prix mode. So yeah, that is the that's how I feel Peach Stadium could work. Hello, I approach Crown City. It says in the top right corner. So welcome to Crown City, the course that kind of inspired this video. I just said something. So like we did with Peach Stadium, I'm gonna look at all the routes and then just kind of put it all together into a big lap course so that we got every route, and then you're not having to go back to the Shell Cup and wait till you actually get to Crown City playing one route, or you know, having to drive from one route to the other. Whereas instead, in this versus race form, this new one that I'm making, you could actually just play Crown City in its entirety on every route that you use. So when you start, the Mushroom Cup Crown City technically starts like right there on that finish line, albeit you come from wherever else, from Mario Bros Circuit, and then you go along the rooftop route, and then just kind of twist your way back to the starting line that I literally just started at before. So yeah, that's gonna be that. But in the versus race form, this is actually the second lap of the course instead of the final lap, or instead of the first lap of the course. So yeah, so this is the rooftop route, I guess we can call this. The Shell Cup route goes along the beach route, which is, we're gonna take a little shortcut here. So the beach route comes along this road right here, and then we go up this way to the sort of skate park-esque area, whatever area this is, I don't know. But anyway, so you come along here, we go down here, and then as we go through the alleyways, we kind of end up inside of, or not inside, we end up right by the beach, and that is where that section ends off. So, which is right along here. It's pretty cool. However, we kind of just end the course like here, which I guess makes sense considering there's not actually a proper finish line or anything along the other route that we take. Considering we just end up going back this way, so that's that route. And then the other route coming from other courses, you would go along this path, and then you twist through here, which is typically, I think, is the way that you would normally go when going to like Crown City from Mario Bros Circuit, is you would go down this way and you typically turn to the right, but we're not going to the right, so we're going to go to the left instead. So yeah, you'd go to the left on this, some of the routes coming from other courses to Crown City, you go along this route, and then this is where you drive through the water. And this route is only seen during the versus race, depending on where you're coming from, and is never used in the Grand Prix, so it's kind of like, just kind of like the unique route that doesn't actually have a Grand Prix version or whatever, or a Grand Prix equivalent, so yeah. And then you go along here, and then, you know, typically finish the race where that is. Okay, so we've kind of gone through like everything that you see in Crown City. In the versus race of Crown City, you typically start along the bridge here. And I don't mind doing that, however, I'm also thinking, there's two ways you can start this. So either we can start along the bridge here, we're going to take a little gas travel method, the black car. And then, or we can just typically start our race, or we can just start our race along this path. Either way, we're going to end up going this way in my version of this Crown City. So, and then in the versus race, you typically go along this route. I don't really know why I'm taking this truck with me. And then you go along here. Now, this is again where we can have a sort of split path. We can go along this route, or we can completely skip this whole section right here in the first lap, and just drive straight down this long path here that you would typically come from in Crown City Shell Cup. And then we'll end up going this way. So is what I'm thinking. And then this is all for our first lap so far, so we're still on our first lap. And then our second lap will typically begin where the version of Crown City that will go along the rooftop. So I'm thinking the second lap can begin along here. So the second lap will be the rooftop route, which we've already been through. We've already shown you that. The third route, I'm thinking, well, here's what we'll do. So we'll come back around the rooftop section. And like Crown City in the versus race, you would typically go down here, and this would be like the final lap. But for the sake of this version that I'm making, this is only the third lap out of 5 laps actually. So yeah, we'll go along here, and we'll continue along this road that you would see in the final lap of Crown City in the versus race or time trials form. And now we're going to come back around to here where you would typically finish the race in the versus race format that's seen in the game. So Our third lap ends here, and our fourth lap will begin right here. And we can then go along here. Of course, we can go through the split path right here. You can go down this. Obviously, you don't go this way, but you know, you get the gist of it. You would go down this route, which again is used in the Shell Cup version of Crown City. So we'll go along here and go through the skate park thingy once again, of course, and then you know, I'm sure you kind of get where this is going with the fourth lap here. The Shell Cup route of Crown City, you'd end the race here. However, I'm thinking not end the race here, so we can drive under the starting line. This does not count for a lap though, so the fourth lap will still continue along here. And for the fifth lap, we will start the race here, where you come along, depending on where you're coming from. Whoops. You can. Okay, this truck is in my way. So yeah, you come along here for the fifth and final lap of this version of Crown City, and which is this is the route that's only typically seen in versus race, depending on if you're traveling from one course to Crown City. So not every course is going to get you along here, but yeah. So then we'll do this, go along here, and then of course through the beach section. And once we get through the beach section, of course. So yeah, and then our race will finish right along here where we started the fifth lap, which we came from that beach section. So yeah, so so this, instead of the 3 laps, Crown City will now be the 5 laps. Obviously this is not like official, because this is just my version of how I think it should look, because for some reason Nintendo doesn't let you play certain courses, or certain routes, I mean, of courses. So yeah, I don't know where I'm going. But we're not done just yet. We're not done just yet, because there's one little thing which I want to give credit to one of my friends actually for this idea. So shout out to one of my besties, aka Krasy. He's been in my videos a few times. So shout out to my bestie Krasy for coming up with this idea. He suggested that each lap is like a different time of day, where like the first lap is like kind of like early morning type stuff. Second lap is kind of getting earlier, or like later to the day. Third lap is like midday type stuff. Fourth lap is getting later, and the final lap, or like fourth lap, is like evening stuff type stuff. And the last lap is set at night. So each lap will change, kind of similar to the GBA Sunset Wilds in Mario Kart Super Circuit and Mario Kart Tour. So where each lap will like be like a different time of day or something. So shout out to my bestie Krasy for coming up with this idea. Alright, so that's been my little thoughts thanks to this random post that I found on Reddit. Again, I'll put all the stuff on the screen so you guys can go check out the original post that I got the idea for this video from. And yeah, so let me know what you thought of if you would enjoy this, how you would do. Maybe you say something different than I do. I don't know. Maybe you want to do 1 lap of the oval because you don't like it in Peach Stadium, and you want to do the actual course of the Special Cup version 2 times. Or maybe you do it 2 times and then the final lap is something different, you know. It's totally up to you, whatever you think. And then for Crown City, let me know. Maybe there's like other pathways, because like I said, there's like a lot of road in this one area, this one track. So maybe there's like other stuff that you see, like maybe you drive through the parkade, or maybe you drive through the alleyway or something, I don't know, or you end up in the waters from some other direction. I don't know, maybe your Crown City has 10 laps instead of 5 like mine. I don't really know. Yeah. But anyways, so yeah, if you did enjoy, give this video a thumbs up, turn notifications so you never miss a video, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm now going to drive off the building. Please do not do this in real life, you guys. I'm doing this for the sake of funnies. Bye!